Welcome to MichMusic Talk with Michelle Weir, in powerful conversations with singers, players, vocal groups, and industry professionals from around the world. This podcast isn't just about the music, it's about life and who the artist really is on the inside.
Hello and welcome to the MichMusic Talk podcast, episode number 14 with Sonny Wilkinson. Sonny is another person that I have known for a long time, as are many of the interviewees on the MichMusic Talk podcast so far. Sooner or later, I'm sure there will be a higher percentage of people that I do not know so well. But in the meantime, it's really fun to get to interview my friends because it's fun to get to talk with them for a good hour. And also wonderful to be able to share with you something about them that you might not know. Just, for example, the inner workings of what they may be, what their approach is to what they're doing in their career and life and music, and perhaps something about their personal life and what they're doing outside of music. Now, Sonny told me that she is in love with pedagogy, and she also said she's finally becoming a master teacher. Totally not true. She is not becoming a master teacher. She is a master teacher, and she has been for a long time now. And there's loads of evidence about that because so many of her students are already doing very high-level things. They're at the top of their game in whatever they're doing. Many of them are pedagogues around the U.S. Others are singing and doing musical work around the world. And that is not to forget about her own career as a singer, which has been long and really quite successful. She's a wonderful singer, and she has really earned the respect not just of the vocal community, but also the instrumental jazz community. And even currently, she's still actively learning about new modalities for vocal technique like body mapping and Feldenkrais, which you will learn more about in a few minutes. And she's always been into the Alexander technique and so on and so on. So let's begin by listening to Sonny on one of her recordings. This is actually something from just a couple of years ago, and it was recorded by Jeremy Fox on his CD, which is called With Love. And you'll be able to find out more about this CD, and you can look up more about Jeremy if you would like to by going to the show notes for this podcast at michmusic.com. That's michmusic.com. This is Sonny singing with Jeremy Fox's beautiful accompaniment on the song Not While I'm Around.
Nothing's gonna harm you, not while I'm around. Nothing's gonna harm you, no sir, not while I'm around. Demons are prowling everywhere nowadays. I'll send them howling, I don't care, I've got ways. No one's gonna hurt you, no one's gonna dare. Others may desert you, not to worry, whistle, I'll be there. Demons will charm you with a smile, for a while, but in time, nothing can harm you. Not while I'm around.
Wow, that was just beautiful. And hi, Sunny. So great to have you here on the podcast.
Oh, Mish, it's just a delight to do this. Thank you so much for asking me.
I'm really glad you're here, and it's always good to talk to you, and I miss you.
I miss you too.
Yeah.
I
think the last time we saw each other was Thanksgiving, 2.5 years ago? Something like that.
Right, 2 years ago, and the day after was your birthday. So we got to do a little celebrating of both, I think.
That's right.
And you should look out right now. My garden's amazing. I have ferns that are at least 5 feet tall growing in my garden. It's sumptuous.
You know, we really don't have a lot of ferns here in LA. Can you paint a picture of what that looks like?
All right, so think of a full frontal attack assault of green spreading so heartily that it's attacking your house.
So
that's what my ferns are right now.
Are there teeth involved?
Yeah, teeth, but the rest of the garden's pretty gorgeous right now too. So it's beautiful here.
That's nice, beautiful. I do love your neck of the woods in the summer because I don't know. I know everyone hates the mugginess, but because we have more dry air here, I like it because it is green and fluffy and really, really warm.
And if you don't mind mosquitoes.
Did you see Jennifer Barnes posted something about this miraculous, I don't know if it's a chemical or what it is exactly, or some kind of treatment that, I hope it's healthy for the environment, but I think it might not be healthy for the mosquitoes. Anyway, this company comes and, gets rid of them, but for real and for a long period of time, and it's really great.
Wow, no. But you know what I have started doing? I have a really nice patio out in front because my house looks out to woods and a river, which is bucolic and pastoral and gorgeous. But I get a big industrial fan and turn it on, and it just blows them out of the way.
I see. You just bulldoze them right out.
That's right.
So, Sunny, well, first of all, you probably know this already, but everyone loves you. All of your students and the professional players that you work with and industry people that you're connected with that I have, observed. I mean, everybody just loves you because you're a hardworking professional, meaning you're a singer that has practiced her butt off to achieve what you've achieved. And you're a hard worker at the business, and you really just give everything to your students on an emotional level, on a supportive, loving level, and on a musical level. So first, I just wanted to say that and say, thank you for that and acknowledge that in you.
Oh, sweetie, thank you so much. Actually, that means the world to me. And on a lighter side, one of my friends said to me once, "Well, Sonny, your opinions don't count. You love everybody."
But I don't know if there's too much of a good thing in this case. I don't think applies.
Well, you know what? I feel blessed, really. I mean, I've had phenomenal students, and I've had the opportunity in my life to work with world-class musicians, and it's pretty rich.
Yeah, that's great. It does look like, it appears to me you've got a really, really nice life. And the thing is, a nice life doesn't just happen to someone. People create it. And so good for you for creating that. And let's take a look at it and see what it is for you now. And I'm just kind of going back again. I remember many years ago when you were living in Los Angeles, which is going on 20 years ago now, I believe.
Almost 25.
Almost 25. There you go. Wow.
Mm-hmm. I moved here in 1993.
My gosh. Well, even back then, I mean, you were so busy in your work. You were busy, studio singing, doing lots of live performing around town, doing touring, recording CDs. I found I think at least 4 of your past CDs that I have in my collection now. You were doing things like starting the Sisters of Jazz mentorship program for what was IAJE at the time, International Association for Jazz Education. And then later at the GEN conference, which is Jazz Educators Network, it's sort of what grew out of IAJE, you met a man named Ron Newman. And as far as I can tell, you fell in love and decided to get married, you guys, and you moved to East Lansing, Michigan. But the great thing is that you kept also your career alive and thriving and are still out singing for orchestras, and you have writing projects, you're teaching at universities, have private students, travel around doing gigs and so on, and just very, very active still. You're doing a lot of stuff.
I am. I call myself semi-retired because I'm no longer full-time at Michigan State, but I have an artist in residence at University of Michigan and one at Hillsdale College, which is a small little liberal arts college here in Michigan. And the students are delightful, you know. Do you mind if I just back up and talk to you a little bit about Sisters in Jazz?
Please do. Yeah.
Because, you know, I'm going to be 64 this July. And I think some changes happen in your life when you become an elder of the tribe and you sort of become a mentor in a way, right? And you start passing the knowledge and wisdom and intuition that you have built with all these skills, that your skill set, you start passing it on to the younger generation. And Sisters in Jazz is one of those projects that I look back on with such pride. Because it was, when we started it, it was soon after I moved to Michigan. I was asked to become the head of the Women's Caucus for that IAJE. And we looked around and there were no young girls playing, no young women playing at these conventions. So these little headstrong chicks that were playing, you know, first chair, beating the snot out of all the young boy players, playing first in chair, second chair in middle school and sometimes high school. All of a sudden, the attrition rate was huge. And so there were a group of us that got together and started this Sisters in Jazz. And we had collegiate students audition from around the world, and then we brought them to the convention, and they got a chance to play and be mentored by people like, you know, Terry Lynn Carrington and Renee Rosnes and who else? Oh, Ingrid Jensen and Christine Jensen came and did it. But the cool thing is some of these folks that we had are just preeminent in their careers, like Tia Fuller and Sarah Caswell. And Anat Cohen, the beautiful clarinet player, and Rosanna Eckert.
Oh,
right?
I forgot that Rosanna was
yeah.
one of the Sisters in Jazz.
And she was the first singer that we had. And the thing that I love is we held the singers to a really high musical standard. We held them to the same standard that the instrumentalists were held to. And I have to say, Rosanna was simply top-notch. And of course, she's amazing, but she might have been the best musician on the band that year. Yeah.
That's great. You know, I really appreciate that because I think there's still, in my experience, a bit of a division between singers and players. And with people like Rosanna around and Kate Reed and, you know, so many other people, it's sort of ludicrous to think of there necessarily being a division.
But do you know Ellen Rowe?
Yeah.
The beautiful pianist and writer and at U of M. I was talking about Sisters in Jazz. This was a couple years ago now. And she said, well, you know, I guess bemoaning the fact that when IAJE died, that program died. And she said, well, don't you think we really accomplished our goals? And I thought, well, that's always an ongoing project, right? That's always an ongoing project, getting minorities into their full strengths. But we did have a big impact. That was a beautiful project.
Yes. Thank you, Sonny, for your contributions in Sisters in Jazz, and really to everybody that was involved. I remember those concerts pretty well from past IAJE conferences. And, it was a strong program, and it benefited not only the women that were in those groups, but it benefited all of us as a jazz culture to have invited that segment of our greater community into the world of being professional jazz musicians. And talking about your work, in pulling out my CDs, I realized that it's been a little while since you've recorded a full project. The latest one, I think, is called When Sonny Meets Tom, and that's with the late, great, and beautiful Tom Garvin, the piano player. Really such an intimate and lovely duo CD.
Thank you. Did you ever have a chance to work with him when he was alive?
I knew him, and I think, did I work? I think I actually worked with him once in Haparanda, Sweden, which is weird, but I was working in Finland, and they flew us up there for a day, so I didn't even gig with him, but I taught with him there. But no, I haven't sung with him, no.
Oh, so sweet, so intimate and deep. He was so deep.
Yeah, I think it's really a lovely duo project. And you also recorded recently a track for Jeremy Fox's CD that is called With Love. And this CD was something I think Jeremy did when he was preparing for his DMA, and it was one of his final projects, but he treated it like a professional, recording situation, and it features his orchestral writing and his big band writing, and then he chose some of his favorite singers to each do one track. So Anders Edenroth from the Real Group is on it, Kevin Mahogany, Peter Eldridge, Lauren Kinnan, Kate McGarry, Kate Reed, etc. And you sang one too. The song was Not While I'm Around.
Right, from Stephen Sondheim's Sweeney Todd.
And do you want to tell us about that experience?
Well, first of all, Jeremy Fox was a student at Western Michigan and accompanied a lot of my students. He was never in my studio, but we had a lovely simpatico. What a lovely, deeply lovely human being he is. Spiritual guy. And so we've traded books and traded thoughts, and I was really thrilled when he asked me to be a part of this project. And I had done that tune as a duo with my husband and just loved it and thought it would be nice having an orchestral treatment. And plus the dichotomy of what that tune represents in the movie Sweeney Todd, right? Which is, I don't know if you remember it, but it's Angela Lansbury in the original trying to lure the young boy into the ovens to kill him, actually.
Really?
So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's what it's really about. And it's all kind of ironic and twisted. But for me, when I sing that song, it has to do with motherhood and protecting your child. And then also even further being sort of Mother Earth and protecting the tribe, right? And embracing the planet and your people. And so it's a beautiful little tune, and it's especially fun when it comes from that sort of twisted, ironic origin. And then going down and working with Jeremy, and I've forgotten the name of the engineer.
So you went to Miami to record?
Mm-hmm. I did. He flew me down, and we just played. It was a lot of fun.
That's great. Well, everyone has heard by now that track a little bit because I played it during the intro, and it's really lovely. And congratulations to Jeremy too for pulling off a really nice project and showcasing his writing, and also getting to pull together a really diverse group of singers and highlighting them all in a really beautiful individualistic way, while also maintaining the synergy of the project as a whole.
And how about your first big record project that you have self-produced, essentially,
Yeah.
being nominated for a Grammy and getting all the way to the top circle.
Yes.
That's really
I know.
something.
That's really, really great. So, when I think of your singing, everyone loves you, as I said before, because there's sort of a feeling of envelopment of care, attention, warmth, and love in your teaching and also in your singing. Although you can be a badass mofo when you're doing an up-tempo swing or whatever. Also, you can have a take no prisoners sense in your singing too. Very, very assertive, to say the least. But also in your teaching and in your singing preparation, you've been such a hard worker, and I know that you're very into the physiology of singing. Dating back those 25 years ago when you lived here, I remember having conversations with you about the voice and about who you were studying with and how you were studying, what you were learning. And I know that you've kept up this passion and interest for knowing the body, knowing the voice, developing the body, developing the voice. And you're into some new things here, a few of you, which you mentioned to me, like keeping the aging voice in shape, the Alexander technique, body mapping, Feldenkrais, which
Well said.
thank you. Danke. But I don't know what it is, but I would like to know what it is.
Well, okay, let's see. Where do I start on this? Because this is being kind of in love with pedagogy and the process of developing a voice. I don't know. I feel like I'm finally emerging as a good teacher. I'm sure I was fine before.
You were fine. You're all right. Yeah.
I was okay.
Passable.
But I feel like I'm emerging again into that sort of elder of the tribe. And I feel like I'm finally becoming a master teacher with all these new vehicles at my command. Like in the old days, I'm just going to babble a little bit here. Under the tutelage of the old style pedagogy, classical voice teachers, and I'm not calling anybody out, it just seemed that heretofore, it could really give you some bad habits and engender some tension and stiffness that doesn't need to be there. Like posturally, not allowed to move. We're going, right? And it wasn't necessarily addressed as an integrative process, right? So what I'm finding with all the studies of all these beautiful body modalities, and I'll just go into them a little bit. Alexander technique, body mapping, which is, I'll explain a little bit about that, and Feldenkrais have given me the opportunity to just look at the voice as part of the whole body, right? Getting my young students completely, as much as we can, grounded onto the planet by feeling their feet go into the earth, right? Bending their knees to feel their feet go into the earth. So posture being something that is not erect and stiff at any time, but expansion in the joints and expansion along the spine, and finding out where you hold tension. Now, this doesn't really sound any different than just good vocal singing, right? That's what we all kind of learn. But I feel like I'm sort of coming through the back door in some ways. For example, some of my high school students, and I never thought I'd be teaching high school students, but they'll come in, maybe introverted, maybe not able to make big sounds in their body. They're shy in their body. They're a little caved in. So instead of going and having them sing, I'm going to have them make animal sounds. Okay? Mm-hmm. And can I just take you through it real quickly?
Sure.
Because it's so fun. And this is something that, not that anything is unique in this, but I'm developing this silliness, and we're just playing. So maybe the first thing I'd want to do if we awaken the head voice would be to make morning dove sound, right? And accompanying all these sounds would be a physical gesture that would help them ground in their body and get them attuned from top to bottom. So if we made those little sounds, it would be ooh, 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 ooh. Right?
And I hear in that sound, if I may interject briefly, I hear a lot of openness and breadth, like you're getting space, creating space in the oral cavity and the upper pharynx and so on. Is that correct?
Yeah, but more than that, I just want them to be loose, right? So yes, just letting it all go. And yeah, ideally, naturally they would just go into that higher space, right? Absolutely. And then it's so much fun. I take them down into their lower voice, their chest voice. And I make them make gorilla sounds, and we do gorilla actions. Oh, 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 oh. And we get them moving wide-backed and open-chested, and get their arms moving from their lats and their traps, and everything is moving free.
Of course, Tarzan is coming to mind. What do you do with, I'm sorry, I'm going to interject little questions here and there. So what do you do with the soprano who is having trouble even accessing that chest voice, especially if they've had a training from a
classical pedagogue?
Yeah, teachers that don't go there.
Right, and even though I think the classical pedagogues are catching up, really. I've heard some people on NPR, opera singers that sang at the Met, and I can't remember her name right now, who is using some of these sounds, these kind of pharyngeal to waken up the lower middle, and they're using them. But I still think that old-fashioned thing that the head voice is the only voice and it's not connected to the whole instrument can still be prevalent. And you know what? It's all right. I cannot remember who said this, but I love it and I've taken it on as my own. In any other instrument you learn, the instrument's fully formed before you either put it in your face or put it on the end of your fingers, right? It is a fully formed instrument, but not so with the voice. So not only are you learning to play your instrument, but you're developing that instrument at the same time. And it takes time and patience and kind of falling in love with the process. So to awaken any register or part of the voice that's unused takes a little bit of patience and willingness to be courageous and sort of just leaping off the cliff a little bit. And I think as a teacher, you just have to, because everybody's an individual, you have to kind of find the way in to encourage that voice to wake up, because we all have it. Just how to wake it up and connect it up.
Yeah, so once you've done the high, opening the sort of on the high side of the voice, and then you've gone to the gorilla low part of the voice, how do you work with the middle, and how are you dealing with passagios or breaks or whatever you want to call them?
Well, in every voice, that's just, of course, the tricky area, right? That's the area that takes time to really build. So you can be fluid from top down, and you can be fluid from bottom up, and depending on the tessitura or whatever the passage may be, you can know what you're doing, and you're just doing it intuitively, like a nice little greased sliding machine, right? So I do have a couple sounds for this that I think are hysterical. If I don't want to overblow the microphone, but one would be a lower middle sound, which would be a lower middle connected with edge, like a crow. And I'm going to make this and tell me if I overblow. Ah, 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 ah. And of course, we're flapping our big arms, moving our arms from our lower back all the way up to get energy moving through the body to sing as a whole entire body, not just your vocal cords, right? Mm-hmm. And then to get, for example, a head voice, connected to a little bit more brilliance and edge, we can do a chicken like this.
Oh my gosh. I have to take my headphone off a little bit for that one.
And you should see the kids with this, or older people that have never made a sound like that isn't pushed or forced, that's just easy and floats right up there.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, one more sound and then we'll stop this because I know it's nonsense. But, chickens at rest in the coop are just lovely creatures. They kind of do this.
It reminds me of a cat purring a little bit. Yeah. It's a little like their version of just, homeostasis, being a happy little bird.
Happy creature. I love that. And it's an open-throated pharyngeal sound, but you can use it. So check this out. If somebody gets stuck, like they're putting too much pressure or something, you can say, well, just add in a little chicken there,
That is so fun. I love it. And is that part of the Feldenkrais technique, or is this just something that you've developed?
That's just the idiocy of Sonny Wilkinson. That is me. Okay, Feldenkrais is I think it's just the practice of Feldenkrais is tricky because it's extremely subtle body motions, tiny little motions in the body, that by doing these tiny little motions in the body with awareness, open up the freedom of the whole body. And it's really worth, if you're a singer or an instrumentalist, it's so worthwhile to go out and check. There are two people that I would suggest. Russell Delman, and his series is called The Embodied Life. He's a brilliant spiritual man and also does this Feldenkrais to free up motion in the body.
For the listeners, just a reminder that if you go to my website, michmusic.com/podcast, I will have notes there on anything like this that you've spoken about with a link, if there is a link possible.
Oh, wonderful. And then the other person would be Anat Banyal.
Ooh.
And it's called the ABM method.
Okay. BENYEL?
I'm sorry, it's BANIEL, I believe, Banyal.
Okay.
I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly. But for example, just a little Feldenkrais illustration here. Before I started doing Feldenkrais, my idea of posture and my rib cage was so stiff. I think I just held my rib cage in stasis and not moving. But now, since I've been doing this for more than several years now, maybe 4 or 5 years, I can almost feel all of, each little insertion point in the rib cage as fluid and in motion. And it's such a nice thing as a woman in her 60s to regain fluidity in her body. It's kind of a miracle, really.
But you're a jock anyway. People, I should just say that so people get the full picture. I remember when you first had Chris, your son, one of the very first things to happen was to get a jogging-friendly stroller so you could, go out for an hour and go for a run in the winter in Michigan with your baby. Because you had...
That's true.
Right?
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. So that's neat. It's great that comes into play in your singing, pedagogy too. I think it's really valuable for people. That's cool. I'm going to look up all the people that you mentioned here. Very interesting stuff.
Yeah, I think, you know what, Misha, I think you would love Russell Delman. Because I know you've been doing meditation and some things like that, and he incorporates that beautiful idea of awareness and mindfulness into Feldenkrais is mindfulness, And I think the how that has really affected my teaching of voice is that the idea of less effort and more awareness is so key in helping students find the balance of this stuff, because the balance is so tricky and it's so easy to use too much effort in everything we do rather than less effort and more awareness.
Yeah,
right?
good for you. It's so true. And I feel like I'm a kind of a poster child for, having a history of being an A-type personality and trying so hard to sing well when I'm around all these brilliant people like you that sing so beautifully. And then in the effort part of it is where my downfall was, because then I'm bringing into it just all this extra strain and stress and tightness and stuff. So, yeah, I'm all very much on board with the finding effortlessness.
Don't you think we all are to a certain extent, though? We all have to deal with, the interesting possibilities and strictures of being human. It's so...
Yes.
Yeah.
I've really been thinking a lot lately, too, and noticing the importance of a body's physiology in their singing and their hard palate specifically, which speaks to the resonating space and so on. And do you feel that some people just have a body type that is more easily conducive to a natural flow of singing than others?
Sure. I mean, yes, of course. I think there are certain people that are born to be runners and they can run with ease without injury until they're well up into their 70s. And some of, you know what I'm saying? So I do think that there are some naturally resonant instruments that are astounding. They're born that way. I don't think there are that many, though. Right? It would be like the top 0.2% of the athletes. It's like a Tiger Woods, right? That he was born to be a golfer, and I'm sure there are instruments that are born to be singing. Maybe Ella Fitzgerald was one of those. That has the whole package. But the rest of us, I think we're all kind of born to do it. We may need a few adjustments.
Yeah, and then there are all the other things that come into play too, just your mental state, your attitude about it, your belief about what is possible for you. I'm just so interested in the neuroscience of that and how we can sabotage or enhance depending on our belief systems about things.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I think that's part of the voice thing as well is, okay, how do you've got a bad habit of tension and you're singing with all this clutch tension, right? And everything's tight. How do you break that habit? Well, you don't break the habit. You leave the habit alone and you go to a new way of approaching something that is going to create a new neural pathway, which I love that word. I think that's beautiful. That is more attentive and more aware and more released and more gentle and kind, and that eventually, if you treat this, if you practice this gentle neural pathway, and if you could see me, you could see my hands gently doing this spiral of beauty, then it's going to just replace it because it becomes your new habitual motion, right? Isn't that beautiful? I mean, it's what you were saying.
Yes. Gosh, I could just speak on this topic with you for a long, long time.
Over many glasses of wine.
Yes, over several at least. I do want to get to another important topic, though. Several topics. I got to hear about the Thai food, and I just selfish curiosity, but we'll hold on, put that on hold for a minute, because we need to talk about your prodigy son, Christopher, who has just graduated from college. Congratulations! But let's let the world know about Christopher.
My boy is remarkable.
prodigy. I'll call you probably can't because you're mom, but I can.
Yeah, it's hard.
Very special.
Well, he started composing when he was in the 3rd grade. And when he was in the 7th grade, he had a movement of his 5th symphony played by the Lansing Symphony Orchestra. And he's like you, honestly. He's smart and inquisitive and thorough. If he's going to go listen to the Mahler symphonies, which he did, he listens to every single one and can drop a needle on any or all of them, right? He's meticulous. And so he's just completely grown in his musical interests, which I love because he's taken me on this journey. What do I know? I mean, I listen to jazz music when I'm driving up a mountain. I listen to country music. I listen to some pop and some R&B. But he comes in and he's having me listen to cutting edge 21st century electronic music. And he's turning me on to all of the music that I sort of I didn't hear, like music like Pavement and Jesus and Mary Chain. And, of course, I did listen to Radiohead. But then he brought me, just recently, he said, Mom, I love Captain Beefheart, and Frank Zappa, Bob Dylan, man. I go, yeah. So he's turning me back on to all of these iconic alternative and rock and roll people. And so he's going at composition now from a 21st century composer's mind. And he's really gotten into electronic music. And he's doing protest music in a way about our ignorance of the environmental changes. And I have to say, he's opened my ears like crazy. They're powerful pieces. You have to open your ears in a different way. It's not what you're used to hearing. But I think I'm very excited for his future because he's passionate about it. And he's going to be going to the University of Maryland for his master's.
Wow.
I miss him already.
Yeah, it's a hard time for everybody. He'll miss you too. I say that because I work with so many college students that are first year. And it's hard for everybody. It's exciting, but it's hard to leave home despite how. But anyway, he'll be fine. Yeah. Don't worry.
Okay, I won't.
But I'm just so interested in what he's up to because it is not every individual in the world that aspires to doing anything in the 7th grade short of beginning to like girls or boys or, and just, much less aspiring to write the movement of a symphony and then aspiring to get it played with a local professional symphony, et cetera. And why does someone choose sort of the broader, let's call it classical, but it's not really, let's not call it classical, let's call it contemporary eclectic concert music or something like that.
Oh, I like that. That's great. I think Chris would like that too.
CEC, contemporary eclectic
CEC.
concert music. But why did he choose that? Because obviously Ron, your husband, is a jazz lover and a jazz player and a writer, and classical lover probably also. And then you are that also, but probably leaning a lot toward the jazz side. How did he get this thing about wanting to play Mahler and why, just why, I wonder?
Well, here's the deal. When he expressed interest, well, he didn't express interest. He just started composing, right? He was playing piano. He just started composing and he brought his piece up to Ron, my husband, who is an extraordinary jazz musician, but also a contemporary composer. So my husband started mentoring him, not really teaching him, but mentoring him in the craft and of theory and harmony and listening and they worked together from the time he was in 3rd grade till the time he graduated from college. So we listened together. I mean, okay, do you remember listening to Bruckner in college?
Me? No. No, in my jazz, I'm sorry, my traditional music history class, perhaps.
Well, I mean, Bruckner was always sort of to be avoided because his symphonies are like an hour and a half long. They're crazy long. But my son, because of this, I think he just started listening to everything. And he would grab onto something and then listen to all of it. And he turned Ron and I back on to Bruckner, for example. So I think it was just being in this crazy household of ours, which is very musical. Luckily, there's little pockets of privacy all around where we can all be doing our thing. But I think it sort of happened organically, really. He just was inquisitive. Like, I'll give you another example of that. His piano teacher wanted him to play a Bach convention. And so he went out and listened to all of them before he chose. Now me, I'd listen to two.
Yeah. Now, sometimes people with that extreme, a gift, a talent, somebody that's just got extreme interests and talents like that, there's a balance of that they might not be as strong on the other side. Sometimes it's social or physical. They're not comfortable physically or something. Yeah. Not that I want to call out any weaknesses in Chris, but I mean, is there anything at all that you would say to that he's balanced in some way?
Well, I have to say he is a very well-adjusted young man, and this is my favorite rule of parenting. And he was lucky to have me as a mother because I'm so social. He could not be, I guess. But here was the way we worked life in our household. Work, play. Work, play. Right? And when you get down by work and your concentration gets too intense and you're exhausted, you go play. We go play in the woods. We go stomp through the creek. And I think that helped balance him out pretty well and balance us all out, actually. I don't know if that really addressed your comment or question.
I'll take it. It's okay. It's good.
Okay.
Hey, does he, not that, I might as well work toward promoting his world a little bit. Does he have a website?
Oh, he does. And he has produced 2 CDs that are available too.
Okay.
So I can get you the links for those.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll put them in the notes. And
beautiful.
Does his website, is it Chris Newman or Christopher Newman, or do you know what it is offhand?
I have to get it
Okay.
exactly. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Bad mommy. Bad mommy.
You were a perfect mom up until the point you forgot.
Yeah. Whoops.
Yeah. No, no problem. We'll put it in the notes. Okay. On to the good stuff now. Okay. Here's what we're going to talk about. What do you do, Sonny? Okay. When you're outside of music, you're outside of, working with Chris in life, and you are at home or you're anything out on the road. What do you love to do and why?
Oh my gosh. Isn't it interesting, living this much of life? I have so many interests. And maybe it's because I have the attention span of a newt. I'm not sure. But I have always needed to be physically active. So I swim, I run. No, I don't run. I used to run. I don't run. I do yoga. I do Feldenkrais. I hike. I really love fine cooking. I love to cook beautiful things and play with that. And my latest passion, because I'm just not as busy musically as I used to be, maybe by choice, I am a blossoming potter. And I have a potter's wheel in my basement. And I throw pots and hand build beautifully. Well, I'm a novice, right? So I can't attest to how beautiful they are, but they're getting better.
I have to assure you, you are not a novice, because before we started talking, you showed me on Skype some pots, and they're gorgeous, just beautiful. And actually, would you mind taking a photo of your favorite one and sending it my way, and I'll put it on the website.
Oh, okay.
Just for
And when
fun.
I'm good enough, I'll send you a few things too.
Oh gosh, I would love it. I would love it. Do you know what? When I was always artsy craftsy, everything from homemade greeting cards to wreaths to jewelry. I still have a ton of jewelry making stuff. And I used to have a potter's wheel.
Oh, you
I did, yeah, around junior high, and I adored it. I was never very good because I was too undisciplined to practice enough to make it good. And I didn't really have any mentorship, Nobody was, I had no role modeling or anything, but...
I find it hard to believe that you would be undisciplined in anything.
People think that,
Yeah.
but you know what it is, and I've spoken about this in my other podcasts. It's the workaholism. Being driven to achieve things is different than discipline. And I'm learning that. And someday when someone asks me to do a podcast, I'll talk more about that, but I've learned a lot about myself, that it's faux discipline, because when it comes to do things that are not as, achievement oriented, or something that tips into uncomfortable territory, then no, I'm not as much. So
Interesting.
trying to correct that now.
Well, next time you come and visit, we'll throw some pots.
Okay.
We'll go play, or we'll
love
build a mask. We'll do a hand building thing and build something together.
Okay. Sure. That sounds fun. And I hope we get to go hiking again too.
Yes. Oh, I want to do that. I would love to hike up by your house.
Yeah, please, when you're in town, the invitation is wide open. So it's time now, Sunny, for the double time round. I have surprised, I think, most past podcastees about this. Maybe you were one of the clever ones that actually listened through some other podcast before.
I did, not all the way to the end, though. Dang it.
Okay. You snooze, and then you have to deal with the consequences.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Okay. Double time, suggests what? It suggests fast, right? So these are questions that may or may not have to do with music. And the answers really don't matter. But the trick is you've got about 6 seconds to answer them. So it's fast. We're running questions by you. You're going to rattle off your first and best answer. Sound okay?
Sounds great.
Okay, so here we go. Question number 1. Who is your favorite country artist?
But, I know this. Willie Nelson.
Okay, correct. And if you could buy a palatial estate in another country, where would it be?
Italy.
Good. I like it. You're batting 1,000. What is the best thing and the worst thing about being a very tall woman?
The best thing is you can dust in other people's houses where they can't see it. The worst is you feel like you're constantly bending over to hear short people's conversations.
Oh my gosh, I love those answers. Excellent. I'm going to give you double points for that. What is your favorite flower and why?
My favorite flower is the hellebore because it grows in any condition in Michigan. It's the first to bloom in the spring and the last to go to bed in winter.
Wow, that was impressive and better than I ever expected. Good. Nice job. What is the single most common advice you give your vocal students?
Oh, I love this. Less effort, more awareness.
Awesome. Good. It's like a bumper sticker back when we used to have bumper stickers. And what do you do when you're having a bad hair day?
I go out in public and thumb my nose.
Okay, excellent. And it's 2016 in the spring right now, right? Who's going to be our next president?
Sarah Vaughan. Oh.
No, maybe her great-granddaughter.
Hey, I'm going to tell you this right now. Whoever wins our Democratic nominee, I'm going to go work for the campaign. I've never done that before. I'm throwing down and going door to door, man.
Okay.
I will be out there with bells on my toes singing for the Democratic nominee because the other thing is terrifying. And I'm going to move to Canada or buy the mansion in Italy.
Got it. For me also, I'm definitely leaving the country should there be an unfortunate win that is not the one that I would prefer, which that person doesn't need to be named. The one who should not be named. So, yes, thank you for that. You did great. 24,326 points. Good. That's the best. You know what? You did the best on that of anybody so far. Good job.
That's hysterical.
All right. And last but not least, Sonny Wilkinson, what would you like to say to the world and/or aspiring solo vocal artists?
Just keep exploring and trust that you can find your own courage and expression and bounty, and trust yourself and lean into whatever you're doing with ferocity and joy, and take the time to develop your skills and take the time to learn who you are in the music and listen, but listen deeply and express deeply, and go and have fun, for heaven's sakes. Make it playful and fun. It's not so dang serious. Whatever it is, it's not worth being serious about. Just have fun when you're leaning into the expression.
I love that, Sonny. It gives you... It showcases what I said in the very beginning about how personable and caring and sort of, for lack of a better phrase, touchy feeling, loving you are. So thank you for that. And I'm going to take away for myself the phrase, it's just not that serious. Because, when you're a hard worker and you feel like self-imposed pressure to be so excellent at everything all the time, that reminder is going to be very helpful to me. I'm going to post it somewhere where I can see it every day.
Can I say something to you, though?
Yeah.
I mean, knowing you for many, many years now, I know that we all have to work at our own demons, and that sometimes our strengths, our best qualities are also the ones that eat away at us the most. But you are such a remarkable woman, Michi. And you've accomplished so much and taught so many of the world's children and adults about this music. And I know that you work harder than anybody in show business, but you're also, every time you do a project, you just seem like you keep deepening your perspective and your wisdom and your joy and your all that stuff as well. So you may be a workaholic, but it's paying off for you, darling. You're an amazing woman.
You're so sweet. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And life is getting better. It's not ever too late to learn. And I'm doing a lot of self-examining now about what I'm up to and where I'm not happy and where I feel blocked. And I'm making some corrections that are really, really for the better for myself. And one of them is this podcast, which doesn't really earn money at this point, but I do get to talk with people that are very inspirational to me, like you. So I thank you so much for being with us today. And reminder to everyone listening, first of all, thank you, everybody. If you're interested in these podcasts and you're checking them out, it's really great. And be sure to go to the website, MichMusic.com, to see the show notes, because I've put down links to everything that we talked about that there is a link for. And Sonny Wilkinson, best of luck with everything you're doing, and good luck to your son Chris, and a big kiss to Ron, your husband, from me. And thanks so much for being here.
Oh, thank you so much, Michi. This was wonderful.
Okay. Take care. Bye for now.
Bye.
Oh, I don't know if I can do all those sounds, animal sounds. The gorilla. What's... oh. How's that?
Pretty good. Try the chicken.
Nah. I'm trying to do it.
I'm always drunk in San Francisco. I always stay out of my mind. But if you've been to San Francisco, they say that things like this go on all the time. It never happens nowhere else. Maybe it's the air. I can't really seem to help myself. And what's more, I don't care. I'm always drunk in San Francisco. I never feel it.
Thanks for joining us for today's podcast, and please don't forget to subscribe. Visit www.michmusic.com/podcast for more info about today's guest and links to products and people that were discussed. See you next time.